This is CNN Breaking News.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. I'm Fredricka Whitfield. We're following breaking news. New York authorities have arrested and charged the captain of the boat that overturned near the Statue of Liberty, killing 27-year-old Sarah Sanchez and her 5-month-old baby daughter, Antonella. Divers pulled them out of the water. Both were taken to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. A total of 14 people were on board the vessel when it capsized. Here's the moment emergency crews were dispatched.
Port of New York Harbor near the Statue of Liberty, reporting people in the water. Speedboat announcing Manhattan Box 8420. Going to be in New York Harbor near the Statue of Liberty for people in the water.
CNN's Gloria Pazmino is in New York following this for us. Gloria, what are you learning?
Yeah, Fred, just a tragic story coming out of New York City, and now the U.S. Coast Guard, along with the NYPD, is conducting an official investigation to try and determine exactly what happened here. 2 people, as you said, were killed after the boat that they were in capsized in the middle of the night, very late last night, near the area of Liberty Island. That's home to the Statue of Liberty National Monument. The captain of that boat, a 46-year-old resident of Manhattan, was arrested in the early morning hours of Sunday, and he has been charged with 13 counts of reckless endangerment. Now, here's what we know so far about how this all unfolded. As you said, the calls came in shortly after 10:20 last night, reporting people in the water as well as a capsized vessel. The NYPD unit responded, the harbor unit, aviation units, divers, as well as the fire department and the Coast Guard. They were able to rescue a total of 12 people. And in fact, the first crew that arrived at the scene of this capsizing was actually another commercial vessel that was in the area, Good Samaritans, that were aboard a hot tub boat that managed to save 11 people from the water. Now, as you said, the fatal victims in this incident, a mother and a 5-month-old infant, they were pulled out of the water by NYPD divers. They were transported to an area hospital, but sadly, they were pronounced dead. I want you to take a listen to one of the bystanders who watched as first responders arrived last night.
So I saw 3 helicopters, 2 active boats on the water, and just a lot of NYU ambulances, cops, firefighters, trucks. So there was a lot of traffic going on. And then I saw that there were boats here, and then people were just speaking that there was a mother and a child that needed to be rescued from the water, and that they were found. By that time, I was already here, seeing the boats just flying out, coming in back and forth, and that's when the rescue happened with the mother and the child.
You can see in some of that video the victims being transported, being loaded into ambulances. The rest of the victims suffered minor injuries and were transported to area hospitals. We have reached out to the Manhattan District Attorney to learn more about these charges, Fred, but for now I can tell you that part of what the U.S. Coast Guard is investigating is trying to determine whether this vessel was being operated legally and if it was meeting all of the safety requirements that you would have to meet in order to have that kind of vessel out on the water with that number of people. That is certainly one of the key questions that investigators are looking into, and obviously they are trying to determine exactly what led to the capsizing of the boat. Conditions here in the Hudson were pretty calm last night. The weather was not an apparent issue, but that will certainly be determined by investigators, and we are hoping perhaps to get an update later today. But certainly this investigation in its early stages, and a very sad outcome with the death of that young mother and their young daughter. Fred?
And Gloria, well, I know you said they're looking into the proper licensing, etc., but was this a private or commercial vessel?
That is a part of what the Coast Guard is investigating right now. From what we have been able to gather so far, it looks as if this was a private vessel, although there have been incidents in the last few years, including one back in 2022, where there was a similar capsizing incident that resulted in the death of 2 people, including a young person, where it was determined that the operator of that vessel was conducting commercial activities without the proper U.S. Coast Guard licensing. Again, that has not yet been determined in this incident, but certainly something that investigators are focusing on.
All right, Gloria Pazmino, we'll check back with you to see if anything new occurs in this investigation. Thank you.